The silent exit. The hall of the Galactic Council was filled with light and sound, voices of 100 alien races echoing together, banners of stars hanging from the high ceiling. The chamber was the heart of order in the galaxy, a place where disputes ended with words, not with weapons, but that night something strange happened, something no one expected. The humans stood up, their chairs scraping against the polished floor, their faces calm but cold. They did not shout, they did not argue, they simply gathered their data pads, closed their cases and began to walk toward the great doors. For a moment, silence froze the hall. Even the buzzing translators seemed to hesitate. The aliens stared, confused, unsure if this was some kind of ritual, some strange human custom. The speaker of the council, a scaled being with golden skin, tapped the table and said, "Humans, your time is not over. You still hold your seat. Sit back down." His voice carried the weight of centuries of tradition. But the humans kept walking, their boots echoing like drum beats in the chamber, one step after another, slow, steady, final. Whispers rose. Where are they going? Why are they leaving? This is madness. An insectoid delegate clicked her mandibles and hissed, "This cannot be allowed. The council cannot function without Earth." Her voice carried fear because everyone knew what humans were capable of. They were stubborn, they were dangerous, and they were unpredictable. The human leader, a tall woman with silver hair, paused at the doorway. She looked back once, her eyes scanning the room full of alien leaders, and then she said only 4 words. "We are done here." Her voice was calm, but it struck harder than any weapon. Gasps filled the chamber. Some shouted for guards to stop them, but no one moved because deep inside everyone felt it. The humans had already decided and nothing could stop them. The massive doors closed with a heavy sound, and with it, the humans were gone. For a moment, no one spoke. The Galactic Council sat in stunned silence, the empty seats of Earth burning into their eyes like ghosts. Then chaos broke out. Some shouted that humans had betrayed the Council. Others argued that maybe it was just a bluff. One reptilian general slammed his claws on the table and roared, "Without Earth, the balance will fall." His words echoed like a prophecy. The speaker tried to calm the hall, but his golden scales were trembling. "They will return," he said. "They must return." But his voice lacked strength, even he did not believe it. In the back of the chamber, a young alien diplomat whispered to his mentor, "Do you understand what this means?" The elder shook his head slowly. "It means the age of order is ending." Meanwhile, outside the council station, the human ships undocked quietly, their engines glowing blue against the black void. One by one they drifted away, forming a silent convoy. No broadcast, no farewell, only silence. And silence was worse than war. In the following hours across the galaxy, news spread like wildfire. Earth has left the Council. The humans have walked away. Worlds that depended on human trade began to panic. Markets shook, leaders argued, fleets prepared. For the worst, for centuries, the Galactic Council had survived because no one dared to break it. Every race believed it was unshakable, eternal, but tonight Earth had proven otherwise. In dark corners of space, warlords smiled, pirates sharpened their blades, small empires whispered of independence. For if humans could walk away, why not? Then, but deeper than all this, was the question that no one could answer. Why did Earth leave? What pushed them to abandon the Council? What did they know that others did not? In the council chamber, the speaker stared at the empty human seats long after the hall had emptied. He pressed his claws together and muttered, "If the humans are truly gone, the galaxy will bleed." Far away in the shadow of Earth's fleet, the human leader stood on her flagship's deck. She gazed at the stars with steady eyes, her officers waiting for her command. "Shall we announce our reason?" one of them asked, his voice careful. She shook her head. "Not yet. Let them wonder. Fear will do the work for us." The stars outside burned bright, but between them darkness stretched wide and endless, a darkness ready to swallow the galaxy. And so it began, the silent exit of Earth, the first crack in the wall of the great Galactic Council, and no one knew how wide that crack would grow. The first shockwave, The day after Earth walked out, the Galactic Council tried to continue as if nothing had happened. Speeches were made, motions were called, but nothing felt the same. The empty, human seats were like an open wound. Every delegate stared at them. Every word in the chamber seemed hollow. On the trade routes, the first cracks appeared. A convoy traveling between two star systems was attacked by raiders. Normally, such raids were rare because humans had always patrolled those routes, but now there were no human ships, and the raiders struck like hungry wolves. The Council promised to send ships, but ships take time. Humans had always been fast, decisive, present where danger rose. Now their absence was felt like the missing heartbeat of the galaxy. On distant colonies, rumors spread. The humans left because they saw something. Maybe a disaster is coming. Maybe they prepare for war. Whispers poisoned the air. Fear was spreading faster than any fleet. In one council meeting, a feathered ambassador stood and cried, "We must act before chaos swallows us. The humans kept order. Without them, we are prey." But another, a cold machine-like being, replied, "Do not exaggerate. The council is strong. We will endure." Yet, even as he spoke, more reports came. Food shipments delayed, pirates taking over outposts, entire systems refusing to pay taxes to the council. The speaker tried to deny the danger, but his hands trembled when he held the staff of order. Meanwhile, the humans were silent. Their fleets vanished into deep space. No message, no demand, only the memory of their departure, and silence is heavier than words. In a small frontier station, miners gathered around a flickering holoscreen. News played of Earth's walkout. One miner muttered, "If the humans are gone, who will protect us?" Another whispered, "Maybe it is time to protect ourselves." Already the thought of rebellion began to grow. The shockwave reached the great empires too. The Dominion of Scales, a reptilian power, held an emergency council. Their general slammed his claw on the table. "The humans broke the chain. Now every slave race will think they can break free. This must be crushed." But one old scholar shook his head. "No, General, you cannot crush an idea. The humans showed the galaxy that even giants can walk away." On the opposite side of the stars, the Shining Coalition, a group of noble houses, debated trade. Their merchants screamed of losses. "Without Earth, half our markets collapse. Human buyers fueled our wealth." Their leaders argued for hours, but no solution came. The council itself grew weaker by the day, each session filled with shouting, each night filled with secret plotting. One insectoid delegate whispered to another, "Maybe we should form our own pact, without humans. The council is blind." And in the shadows of these whispers, warlords began to rise. Black ships with no flags took control of forgotten worlds. They declared themselves rulers, claiming, "The council is dead. Long live the new order." The first shockwave of Earth's exit was not a war, but a collapse of trust. No one believed in the council anymore, not fully, not like before. Back on Earth's flagship, the human leader listened to intercepted broadcasts. Every panic, every rebellion, every broken alliance was noted. Her officers looked uneasy. One of them said, "Should we move to stop this innocent world suffer?" She shook her head. "Not yet. The galaxy must feel what we felt, only then will they listen." Her words were heavy, but her eyes carried no regret. At the same time, deep inside the council chamber, the speaker sat alone after the meeting. Ended, he looked at the star maps glowing before him, systems blinking red, trade lines broken, patrol routes empty. He whispered to himself, "This is only the beginning, the first shockwave. The tide will drown us all." And far away, in the black sea of space, human fleets drifted silently, waiting, preparing, unseen, their absence shaking the galaxy more than their presence ever did. The shockwave had been felt, and it would not stop here. It was only the start of the collapse. Whispers of war. The galaxy was not quiet anymore. After Earth's exit, every corner echoed with unease. Trade routes fell apart, colonies trembled, and in the empty halls of power, whispers began to grow louder. Whispers of war. It started in the shadows. Smugglers and pirates spread rumors faster than goods. They claimed they had seen human fleets gathering beyond the rim. Some swore that Earth was building a secret weapon. Others whispered that humans were allying with rebel species. No one knew the truth, but fear made every lie feel real. On the council floor, delegates shouted across the chamber. One insectoid slammed her claws and said, "This is all Earth's fault. They leave and the galaxy burns." A scaled general hissed back, "Then we strike first. We attack Earth before they return with fire." His words made the chamber quake. But another voice, soft and trembling, spoke against them. "Do you even hear yourselves? You want to start a war against the most unpredictable race in history?" The hall fell silent for a breath because deep down, everyone feared that truth. Outside the council, armies moved quietly. Fleets began to expand. Shipyards worked day and night, preparing for battles not yet declared. In border colonies, the common people spoke their own whispers. "The council is weak. Earth will come back with vengeance. We must choose sides." Taverns, markets, and spaceports all buzzed with rumors. Some prayed for Earth to return as saviors. Others dreaded their return as conquerors. In the dominion of scales, war drums echoed. Through their great halls, generals argued over maps. One slammed his tail and declared, "If humans rise alone, they will control the stars. We must crush them now." But another general, older and scarred, whispered, "You cannot crush the storm before it arrives, and humans are always the storm." His words unsettled the chamber, yet none could deny it. Far away in the shining coalition, merchants trembled as profits fell. Noble houses whispered of rebellion. One lord said, "Better to ally with humans now than be ruined later." Another spat, "Ally with them, they will enslave us." The council of nobles ended with no unity, only fear. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, small races who had long been ignored began to stir. They whispered among themselves, "If Earth can leave, maybe we can too." Old chains of oppression started to loosen. Rebellion grew in the dark, inspired by humans who had walked away. On Earth's flagship, the human leader listened. To intercepted transmissions, whispers of war carried through space like a cold wind. Her officers looked uneasy. One asked, "Do we reveal our plans now?" She shook her head. "Not yet. The galaxy must break its own illusions first." Her words were calm, but every officer felt the weight of them. One young officer whispered to another, "If they attack us, we may face the whole galaxy." But the older officer only smiled faintly. "And still, I would not bet against us." Back in the Galactic Council chamber, fear turned into plotting. Delegates huddled in secret rooms, plans were drawn, fleets counted, alliances questioned. One whispered, "If we cannot control Earth, then we must destroy them." Another answered, "And if we fail, the galaxy ends." Silence followed, for no one dared imagine what failure meant. On frontier worlds, mercenaries offered their services, selling weapons and promises. One mercenary captain said to frightened colonists, "Do not worry. When the war comes, we will fight for whoever pays the most." His laugh was cruel, but his words were true. The galaxy was slipping into the hands of those who thrived on chaos. Yet in hidden corners, some still hoped. A young alien girl asked her father, "Will the humans save us?" He paused, unable to answer, finally whispering, "They may, or they may burn us all." The whispers of war spread everywhere, louder and louder, until even the stars seemed to carry them. And in the silent dark, far beyond any council reach, human fleets trained, soldiers prepared, engines roared quietly in hidden bases, no message sent, no explanation given, only patience, only waiting. The galaxy wondered, the council trembled, and war was no longer a distant nightmare. It was a shadow on every world, a whisper in every ear. Soon those whispers would turn into fire. Collapse of order. The Galactic Council had always stood as a pillar of unity, its chambers filled with endless debates, its fleets keeping peace across the stars. But after Earth's silent exit, that pillar began to crack, and soon the cracks grew into fractures. Trade collapsed first. Food shipments were delayed, medical supplies never arrived. Mining colonies went unpaid. One governor shouted across a holoscreen, "The council is useless now. We will take care of ourselves." His words spread like fire, copied, repeated, believed. On distant worlds, riots broke out. Hungry people stormed supply stations. Guards fired into crowds. Blood-stained streets that had once been calm. The council sent messages of order, but no one listened anymore. In the great capitals of empires, rulers felt the shift. The dominion of scales raised new taxes. Their soldiers marched harder, trying to hold control. But rebellion whispered even in their barracks. The shining coalition saw noble houses turn against each other. One house raiding another's caravans, once loyal allies breaking apart in the name of survival. Inside the council chamber itself, chaos ruled. Every session ended in screaming. Claws slammed, wings flapped, tendrils shook with rage. "We must strike Earth," one side shouted. "We must beg them to return," the other answered. No decision ever reached. The speaker's voice grew weaker with every session. His golden scales dulled. He begged for calm, but his words were drowned in. The storm order was gone from his own chamber. Meanwhile, across the frontier, pirates became kings. Black flag fleets declared entire sectors theirs. One pirate lord transmitted a message to the galaxy. "The council is dead. Long live freedom." His fleets burned stations and enslaved colonies. But many desperate people still cheered, because at least someone held power. Merchants cried as routes collapsed. One trader on a dusty world shouted, "Without humans, without council, who will buy, who will sell?" Markets froze, coins lost meaning. Even military fleets began to fracture. Captains refused orders, some joining rebels, others declaring loyalty only to their homeworlds. What was once one voice now broke into 100. The collapse of order was everywhere, and still humans remained silent. On their flagship, the human leader stood before a star map, red signals of rebellion and collapse spreading like fire across the galaxy. One officer said, "The council is dying. Billions suffer. Should we act?" She shook her head slowly. "Not yet. Their world must burn before they understand why we left." Her calm words chilled the crew, but no one argued. Back in the council, chamber desperation grew. One delegate, trembling, whispered to another, "Maybe humans wanted this, maybe they planned it." The other answered, "If so, then they are already winning." Fear clung to every wall of the chamber. In small villages on forgotten moons, parents told children to stay inside at night. Raiders prowled the skies. Old folk whispered by fires. When humans walked away, the galaxy lost its shield, their voices heavy with sorrow. The council tried to show strength. They held parades, broadcast speeches, displayed fleets on holoscreens, but behind the images, fuel was low, morale broken, and trust shattered. Civil wars erupted within member races, brother against brother, colony against capital. Cries of freedom mixing with screams of death. Even allies who once stood together now pointed weapons at each other. Trust was gone, and without trust, no order can stand. The collapse spread faster than anyone imagined, faster than fleets could move, faster than words could travel, and through it all, the whispers of humans remained, unseen fleets, hiding in the dark, waiting. One council aide asked the speaker in private, "If Earth returns, what then?" The speaker closed his eyes and whispered, "Then we are already their prisoners, for they will not return as members, they will return as masters." The aide trembled, but said nothing. Somewhere beyond the rim, on a silent human warship, soldiers trained in dark halls. Weapons gleamed, eyes steady. One whispered to another, "The galaxy tears itself apart. We do not even lift a hand." The other smiled grimly. "That is the plan." And so the galaxy slipped further into chaos day by day, system by system, the collapse of order unstoppable. The council was no longer a council, only a stage for shouting and fear. The stars themselves seemed to wait, silent and cold, for the next move, and somewhere in that silence humanity waited too. The human gambit for weeks, the galaxy drowned in chaos. Fleets broke, colonies burned, the council screamed but could not act, and still the humans stayed silent, their absence heavier than 1,000 fleets. Then one night, across every world, every station, every ship, the stars flickered, screens turned black, and a voice filled the galaxy. It was human. The message was short, simple, and terrifying. We warned you. You did not listen. Now you will understand why we left. No threats, no demands, only those words. But they shook the galaxy more than any bombardment. On the council floor, delegates leapt to their feet. Wings flapped, claws struck tables. Voices screamed, "It is war! They are coming!" Panic thundered in the chamber. The speaker tried to shout over them, but even his voice was drowned. On frontier worlds, miners and farmers huddled around, old screens. The message played again and again. Children clung to their parents, merchants shut their shops, captains locked their doors. Everyone whispered the same question: what will the humans do? In the dominion of scales, generals stood over maps. One slammed his claw and hissed, "They challenge us. They must be destroyed." But another muttered, "Or perhaps they already destroyed us. We just have not realized it yet." In the shining coalition, noble houses shouted across their council, some demanding alliances with humans, others demanding fleets to strike Earth. Their unity fractured further. But the truth was clear. Every race feared the humans more than they feared each other. Meanwhile, hidden in the black, Earth's fleets moved not with noise, not with fire, but with silence. Stealth ships slid past borders. Probes gathered data. Satellites hacked systems. Entire networks went dark without a single shot fired. A space station in the outer rim woke to find its entire defense grid shut down. No alarms, no warning, just silence. And in the silence, a single human message blinked on every console. This is what weakness feels like. The gambit had begun. Human leaders knew they could not fight the entire galaxy with force alone. So they used fear, precision, and psychology. They let chaos spread. They nudged it further. They made every race question itself, question its neighbors, question its council. Whispers turned to screams. Humans are behind every rebellion. Humans are arming the pirates. Humans control the shadows. None of it proven, all of it believed. The speaker sat in his chamber, his hands shaking as he listened to the human broadcast for the 10th time. His advisors begged him, "Send envoys to Earth, beg them to return," but others shouted, "Arm the fleets. Crush them before they crush us." No decision could be made. Paralysis gripped the council, exactly as the humans intended. Back on Earth's flagship, the silver-haired leader stood on the deck, watching reports pour in, systems collapsing. One after another, her officers gathered around. One asked, "Do we show them mercy?" Her eyes stayed cold. "Not yet. Mercy means nothing to those who never feared us." Another officer whispered, "They think we have some ultimate weapon." She glanced at him. "And do we need one? Fear is sharper than steel." Her words spread through the crew, and they trained harder, because every soldier knew the true weapon was not fire, but control. On distant colonies, common people prayed for the humans to return. Some carved Earth's symbol on walls. Others whispered stories of human strength. To them, humans were both monsters and saviors, angels and devils. The gambit was working. But even within the human fleets, whispers spread. Some young officers wondered if their silence was cruelty. One asked in the mess hall, "We let children starve, is that the plan?" Another answered bitterly, "We let them taste what we endured. Only then will they understand." The debate lingered in hushed tones, but no one dared defy the leader. Across the stars, the galaxy bent further. One empire declared martial law, another broke into civil war. Trade routes died, and still the human message repeated in minds, "We warned you." The gambit was not a battle, not yet, but it was a strike to the soul of the galaxy, breaking trust, breaking hope, planting fear, so deep it could never be pulled out. And in the silence between worlds, human fleets waited, calm, patient, ready. The galaxy held its breath, knowing the gambit was only the first move. The true play was yet to come. The fires of rebellion, a galaxy had become a fragile glass already cracked, and now every tremor threatened to break it apart. Since the humans walked out of the council, silence had been their only answer. But silence was louder than war. Silence was sharper than a blade. It made empires nervous. It made rulers doubt themselves, and it made the weak finally wonder if they too could stand. At first, the revolts were small. On distant mining colonies, workers refused to load shipments for their alien masters. On trade planets, farmers closed their markets and demanded fair prices. On barren moons, prisoners turned their chains into weapons and shouted that they would not bow again. These sparks of defiance were not unusual in the galaxy. What was unusual was the symbol they carried. They spoke of humanity. The whispers spread. The humans left because the council was unjust. If they could rise and walk away, why can't we? Soon, entire races that had suffered under the weight of stronger empires began to follow the human example. The Torvel, small insect-like beings forced for centuries to fight as soldiers, laid down their weapons. They refused to march into wars for their overlords. The Krint, a race of thin, crystal-skinned traitors, stopped paying their crushing taxes. They announced that no empire would bleed them dry again. Everywhere, those who had always been voiceless began to shout. The galaxy trembled. From the shadows, fleets of rebels formed. Ships painted with symbols of broken chains moved through the trade lanes. They did not fight for the council. They fought for themselves. They carried stolen weapons, smuggled fuel, and the fire of new ideas. The great empires, already weakened by shortages and fear, struggled to contain the uprisings. One world. A council chamber was stormed by its own people. The ruling governor begged for mercy, but the crowd only asked one question: where are the humans now? The silence of Earth had become a myth. To some, humans were seen as secret liberators, guiding rebellion with hidden hands. To others, they were villains, the invisible puppeteers tearing down the galaxy. Yet still, no human voice explained anything. No fleet declared war. No ambassador returned. Humanity remained a shadow, distant, watching, waiting. This silence gave rebels courage. Each empire looked inward and saw cracks growing into fractures. Armies loyal yesterday were hesitant today. Governors who once obeyed orders now considered betrayal. And through it all, the humans said nothing. The silence itself became a weapon. The Galactic Council, what remained of it, argued endlessly. Some members shouted that humanity was behind every rebellion, that their fleets were hidden in dark space arming the oppressed. Others warned that attacking humanity would only make things worse, that the humans must be invited back, begged, even to restore order. No agreement was reached. Every faction accused another of cowardice, of treason, of plotting with the humans, and so the council grew weaker. Meanwhile, the galaxy burned brighter with rebellion. Entire star systems broke free. Old empires shrank, their borders falling, back like melting ice. Warlords tried to claim power but found themselves hunted by rebels who no longer feared them. Even pirates, once the terror of the trade routes, were forced to choose sides. A strange pattern appeared. Wherever the rebellion spread, the symbol of humanity appeared too. Sometimes in banners, sometimes in graffiti on spaceports, sometimes whispered in secret meetings. Nobody knew if humans were behind it or not, but the symbol was there, always there. The galaxy began to realize something terrible. This was not just rebellion. This was transformation. For thousands of years, power had belonged to the strong, the great empires, the ancient races, the council itself. The weak were forced to serve, to pay, to obey. But now, with the humans gone, the weak had learned something new. They had learned they did not have to bow. Still, questions filled the void. Where were the humans? Why did they remain silent? Did they plan to appear at the end of all this chaos, bringing a weapon that would crush the empires completely? Or were they simply waiting for the galaxy to destroy itself so they could walk into the ruins as saviors? No one knew. And the not knowing was worse than war. On every world, in every rebellion, someone asked, "Are the humans watching us now?" The answer never came. But in the deep hidden corners of the galaxy, strange signals began to flicker. Some claimed they were of human origin, short bursts of encrypted code repeating across the stars. Others said it was only static, the imagination of frightened minds. Still, the timing was too perfect. Each time a rebellion succeeded, the signals grew stronger. The galaxy stood on the edge of something vast. Empires collapsed like dying stars. Council halls lay empty. Rebellions burned from one system to the next. And through it all, humanity remained unseen, silent, patient, and waiting. It was as if the galaxy itself had become a battlefield of ideas, and humans had already won without firing a single shot. But the question no one dared to answer was this: if this was only the fire of rebellion, what would happen when the humans finally chose to speak? The final dawn. The galaxy was drowning in its own fire. Empires had collapsed like broken towers. The once proud Galactic Council was nothing more than a memory, its great hall abandoned and silent. Worlds burned, fleets drifted in ruins, and rebellion spread like storms across every star lane. And still, the humans said nothing. For months, their silence had been the most powerful weapon in the galaxy. Aliens feared it, rebels praised it, rulers cursed it. The galaxy asked one question again and again: where were the humans? That answer finally came at dawn, not dawn on any one world, but a dawn written across the stars themselves. One by one, across 100 systems, human fleets appeared. Silent warships emerged from the dark, sliding out of jump corridors and shadow zones as if they had been waiting there all along. Thousands of ships, carriers, cruisers, escorts. They did not open fire. They did not raid. They did not conquer. They simply stood. In orbit above broken worlds, over rebellious colonies and near shattered empires, the fleets of Earth held their ground. Their arrival was not the beginning of war. It was the end of waiting. The galaxy froze. Some rulers screamed for their fleets to strike. Some begged for surrender before shots were even fired. Some rebels cheered, believing the humans had come to crown them as the new masters of the galaxy. Yet no human voice explained. Not yet. The silence stretched for hours, a silence so heavy it seemed to press against every mind across the stars. Then at last, the humans spoke. A broadcast lit up every channel, every screen, every station. It was simple. No anthem, no grand ceremony. Just a single human standing before a dark starfield. Their voice was calm, steady, and carried the weight of judgment. We did not leave the council because we wanted war. We left because the council was unjust. It silenced the weak. It allowed the strong to rule as tyrants. We warned you. You did not listen. Across the galaxy, billions watched. Rebels, rulers, soldiers, slaves. All leaned forward, hearts pounding. Now you see what your empires have become. The people rise because they have learned what you never taught them. That power belongs to all, not to the few. We will not take your thrones. We will not be your new masters, but we will not allow the old order to return. For the first time, the galaxy heard not the silence of humans, but their vision. The human fleets opened their comms, projecting a design across the stars. It was a new system, a new order, not a council of the elite, but an assembly where every species, no matter how small, would have an equal voice. No empire could crush its neighbors. No ruler could silence its colonies. Equal power, equal voice, equal future. The galaxy erupted in chaos at the words. To the oppressed, it was salvation. To the rebels, it was victory. To the rulers, it was terror. Some cried out, "This is human trickery. They seek to rule us all under their shadow." Others shouted, "This is hope. This is what we fought for." But the humans did not argue. They did not threaten. Their fleets remained still, silent guardians above the stars. They gave only one choice. You may join this new order, or you may remain outside it. But the age of the council is over. The age of tyranny is finished. The galaxy must decide its dawn. It was not a demand. It was a challenge. Across worlds, leaders scrambled. Some signed instantly, desperate for peace. Some refused, swearing to rebuild their empires in blood. Others hesitated, torn between fear and hope, and the galaxy realized something chilling. Humanity was not asking permission. Humanity had already changed everything. The silence had lit the fire of rebellion. Now their voice offered the path forward, but not all were ready to walk it. On the edge of the galaxy, fleets of the old guard prepared to resist. They would not bow to humans, not even to an equal order. They would fight, even if it meant extinction. And in secret halls, conspiracies whispered, "The humans only want control through peace. They are wolves dressed as shepherds." The galaxy now stood between two futures, one of endless war, one of fragile unity, and no one knew which path would win. On one rebel world, a child looked up at the human fleet and whispered, "They could have destroyed us." But they didn't. On another, an emperor hurled his crown to the ground, snarling, "Better death than a galaxy ruled by humans in silence." Everywhere the debate burned like wildfire. Hope and fear mixed together, impossible to separate. Humanity had not offered peace as a gift. They had offered it as a test. The final dawn had come. But was it the light of a new day, or the beginning of a greater storm? Only time would tell if the galaxy was ready for the order of humanity, or doomed to fall back into fire.